Okay, so today what I'm going to be discussing is kind of linked to what I started talking about yesterday. As you know, and I think for many families, for many parents, with especially with young children, the thoughts come sometimes worrying about if something happened to me and my husband, for example, today, and our kids are still underage. Would they know how to manage the inheritance that we are leaving to them? And would we have someone that we can trust to help them at least until they turn into adulthood, to be able to manage the inheritance that we leave behind for them? On top of that, we have to think and ponder upon how old is mature enough. Yes, legally 18 years old. The government says that a person is an adult and they can inherit anything, full amounts. But we also need to consider, is that the right age? So this is something that my husband and I have been discussing. Also, whether when they turn 18, would they actually understand how to manage what they have received and to use it well, to grow it, so that it can benefit them for the rest of their lives and perhaps even their next generations. Many families work so hard to build something for their children, whether it's a home, business that can earn them income, savings, cash, property, investment properties, education, opportunities, and one day, inheritance from what we've worked hard for them and for ourselves. Honestly, all these things can be such a blessing. Many parents work so hard because they want their children to have a better future, better than their own, to have more options, more safety, less stress financially, more opportunities, freedom to do what they want to do, what they love to do, and perhaps an easier start than what they themselves have had. And I completely understand that. I want that for my children as well. As parents, we want to help them. We want to give them something good, to not have them go through too much pain if we can avoid it. But my husband and I are actually learning something that when we think about it more and more, passing something on, in this case in the form of wealth, is not the same as preparing them to carry it, to use it well, to not be cheated by others when we're not around anymore. Because money without wisdom, it can become heavy and it can become harmful. Having opportunity without the strong character to come along with it can be wasted, and it can come to no good end. Inheritance, financial inheritance, without the preparation to go along with it, can create a lot of conflict and confusion sometimes. Giving these responsibilities without supporting and guiding them while we're still around can feel really overwhelming for them if we are suddenly not here to seek guidance. There's this common saying that I think in Indonesia there's a lot of wealthy families where wealth often disappears within a few generations. I think in any countries as well, even Australia, where one generation builds the wealth, they work really hard and accumulate a lot of wealth, and the next generation gets to enjoy it, have a good life, and later on down the track, another generation may not know how to carry it and just either spend it all or lost it all for some reason. Of course, I'm not saying that this is true for every family. There are some families who've prepared their next generation as well, and you can see the wealth just overflowing generations after generations. And I think this is something that is worth thinking about and pondering about, because I think what I've come to realize is maybe the issue is not just money. The issue is not the wealth itself. Why is this happening? Why is that some families can manage wealth and grow it for generations after generations after generations, whereas some others can't? It will last only 1 or 2 generations. I think I've come to the conclusion that maybe the issue is the preparation, that the guidance that come along with it before the wealth is passed on. So I've been thinking, between me and my husband, have we prepared our next generation, our children, to manage money well, whether it's their own money or whether it's something that we leave behind when we're no longer here? Have we prepared them to make wise decisions, handle pressure that comes with having wealth, to talk about money without any shame, fear, pride, or a sense of over controlling, to handle conflict in a healthy way with the siblings, to most importantly understand why us as the parents, as a family, have worked so hard to accumulate this wealth in the first place. Because generational wealth is not just a financial issue alone. It is a human issue. It's about character, wisdom, emotional maturity, communication, financial education and knowledge, a sense of leadership and influence, and stewardship. Because when someone receives wealth, whether it's in the form of money, property, a business, or a responsibility, they're not only just receiving material things, they're also receiving the influence that comes along with it. And influence requires maturity. And this is why I keep coming back to generational impact, because legacy is not only what we leave behind, whether it's in finances or physical things, whatever it is. Legacy is about who we are preparing. A lot of the times we ask, what will I leave for my children when I die? Or maybe we also maybe we also need to ask, who are my children becoming? What are we teaching them? Are they ready to carry responsibility? Have we talked about values as a family, about money, generosity? Have we discussed about conflict and how to handle them, how it might come along and how it might come about? Have we talked about, what all of this wealth accumulating and working hard is actually for? For our family, the heart of it, and we've talked with our kids about this very often. We believe in being blessed by God to be a blessing, that what we accumulate is not for us to just store ourselves. And hopefully this message stick to them. And I think this is where planning estates and having family conversations are closely connected. Because yes, we need the proper documentations and the good advice legally about wills, superannuation, guardianship, and future planning. It all matters, they really do. You need to understand and know about them. But documents cannot teach wisdom. Documents cannot build the character that needs to come with managing inheritance. Documents cannot manage and repair relationships. It cannot prepare someone to carry responsibilities well. So maybe the work is in both, to prepare the documents, the plan, and also prepare the people who are to receive these things. Have the conversations, build the assets, but also remember to build the character. When you think about inheritance, also think about teaching the stewardship to whoever is going to be receiving this. Because what we leave behind may open a door, whether it's a door to opportunities, to better life, or it could be a door to a dark path if they're not well prepared. Who they become will decide how they walk through these doors. Just a small note, this video is for general information only. It's not legal advice or financial advice. If you need help with your own situation, please speak to a qualified legal or financial professional in your area. But for today, before I finish, maybe let's ask ourselves, are we preparing something for the generation, or are we preparing the next generation for this something? Because wealth needs wisdom. Opportunities needs the character. Receiving inheritance needs preparation and guidance. And leaving a legacy needs people who are ready to carry it. Be blessed. I'll see you in the next video.